I think this one could be a little wider.
Adoption of agenda for regular meeting. Under the provisions of the Public Meetings Law of the State of Missouri, the board must adopt by roll call vote an agenda that includes the time, date, place, and tentative agenda for the meeting. A copy of the notice and agenda for this meeting was posted on Monday, March 12, 2018 at the Administration Center, 1005 Waterford Drive, Morrison, Missouri. At the same time, copies of the notice and agenda were mailed to major radio and television stations, the 3 newspapers, to all municipalities, schools in the district, and posted on the district website.
I would like to amend the agenda by adding the second reading for the 2018-19 calendar to the agenda as item number 21. Then agenda items 21 and 22.
Barely hear you.
23. Sorry.
I'm asking to amend the agenda by adding the second reading for the 2018-19 calendar to the agenda as item number 21. Agenda item 21 and 22 then become 22 and 23.
Motion's been made. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to amend the agenda. Dr. Thurman, would you please call the roll?
Sure.
Mr. Ebert.
Aye.
Ms. Hogsett.
Aye.
Ms. Hart. Secretary votes aye. Dr. Green. Mr. Chabot. Aye. All right, Spelling Bee champion.
Good evening. Recently, students from across the district in grades 4 through 8 competed in the Ferguson-Florissant School District Spelling Bee. The board would like to congratulate our grade level and district champions. First place for 4th grade is Donald Raven from Lee Hamilton.
So Donald's not here, but
First place for 5th grade is Laridius Woods from Duchesne.
awesome.
First place for elementary 6th grade is Elias Scott from Johnson Wabash.
Okay, so mom get ready. We're gonna get a picture with him and you come in. Okay. Nice smile. Awesome. Come on, Mom.
First place for middle school 6th grade is Isaiah Taylor from STEAM Academy.
She's right there. Come on.
Come on, Mom. Yeah. Awesome.
First place for 7th grade is Diego Dominguez from Ferguson Middle.
Awesome, yes.
And first place for 8th grade is Brittany Jenkins from STEAM Academy.
This is for Brittany. Awesome. Dr. Reese, come on in. Come in too. We'll represent for us. Awesome. Thank you.
Our district spelling bee champ for the 2017-2018 school year is Isaiah Taylor from the STEAM Academy. This past weekend, Isaiah was one of only 50 students from the region to advance to the finals of the Greater St. Louis Regional Spelling Bee. The finals will be held March 17th at McKendree University in Lebanon, Illinois. Good luck, Isaiah.
I apologize, I forgot to notify you. Ms. Ponder will be here tonight. She has parent-teacher conferences, so she said that she'll be here about 7:15. Just want to let you know that. All right, next up is Mr. Bills for the Safe Sports School Award. Great.
Good evening, board. And my Ferguson Florissant family. The athletic trainers at all 3 district high schools received the Safe Schools Award by the National Athletic Training Association. Just a little history of this. The athletic training service with the Ferguson Florissant District are provided by Athletic Sports Health Foundation. The mission of Athletic Care is we are working to build safer sport programs for everyone by connecting undeserved students with access to sports medicine service, empowering athletic trainers with opportunities for excellence and growth, protecting student athletes from injury, and supporting the communities we serve with access to programs, services, and resources to help them build a stronger, safer sporting community. The Safe Sport Award program is evident of the athletic trainers and athletic directors' dedication to keep student athletes of the Ferguson Florissant School District safe and assure the community that our student athletes are in good hands. Congratulations to our trainer, Shannis, at the ATC, and the McClure, Taylor Simmons, and Nickel Fisherman. Thank you in order and your support and supporting all our athletic directors. We want to appreciate all you guys and certainly our athletic directors at all.
Yes, awesome.
Great job, guys. Great job.
Ms. Bedrusik, for the district chef recognized for exceptional performance.
Good evening, Board. Each year, our district food service provider, SFE, which is Southwest Foods Excellent, presents awards, company awards, for exceptional performance throughout the entire company. And when I say entire company, they have locations all over the country. So this is quite a big deal. This year, Chef Susan, who works with us at our district, received the award for the Catering Chef of the Year. She's catered events for numerous SFE accounts and has been commended for her originality, attention to detail, and flavorful dishes. We would like to congratulate Susan for earning this coveted award.
Yeah. Awesome.
Congratulations.
Good evening. Each year, we recognize the great work of our teachers by selecting a District Teacher of the Year. The board will recognize the District Teacher of the Year and Support Staff of the Year at next month's board meeting. However, in order to shine the spotlight on more of our great educators, individual schools selected a Building Teacher of the Year. Tonight, we celebrate our Building Teachers of the Year. So, I would ask if you all would go ahead and come up one at a time after I call your name. And they're going to take a picture. And you want them to stay?
Yes.
Yes, got it. From Airport Elementary, third grade teacher, Nicole Binion.
Yeah. So you want to do one picture? Yeah.
From Central Elementary, art teacher, Patrick Kringle. From Commons Lane Elementary, sixth grade writing and social studies teacher, Vicki Struberg. From Commons Elementary kindergarten teacher, Katie Mills. From Cool Valley, kindergarten teacher, Rochelle Bain Wright. From Griffith Elementary, kindergarten teacher, Dan Hannon. From Johnson Wabash, instructional support leader, Victoria Cassidy. Lee Hamilton Elementary first grade teacher, Lindsay Williams. From Parker Road Elementary, third grade math teacher, Carol Goodwin. Robinwood Elementary fifth grade teacher, Jennifer Bond. From Boat kindergarten teacher, Kathleen Harrigan. From Walnut Grove, fourth grade teacher, Rebecca Candle. From Berkeley Middle School, 6th through 8th grade art teacher, Sarah Eastman. From Ferguson Middle School, 7th grade ELA, Dr. Carletta Washington. McClure North, English teacher, Lauren Lynn Roberts. From McClure South Berkeley, math teacher, Sharice Baker Ingram.
Y'all got to see her dance. She can't go. I thought I could dance.
James Student Support Center, High School Credit Recovery, Paul Mariola.
All I can say is the hair still got me sweating.
And from STEAM Academies, art teacher, Ms. Carrie Pace.
Congratulations.
Yes, yes.
Father in the back, daughter in the front.
That's me.
I don't know what to do.
All right, we're going to move on. So each month, the communication team presents a short video of district highlights and successes. Roll tape.
Yeah, maybe start it over. It's not loud. You can't hear it. Barclay, can you make it louder? Yep. Okay. Oh, there.
On Saturday, March 10th, students from across the district gathered at the McClure North High School Annex to compete in their annual all-district competition, the Scholar Bowl. This year, students at Robinwood Elementary were the champions. This event is an intellectual thinking competition where student teams from each elementary school compete against other schools through the following 4 unique academic events: Mind Benders, The Judge, Target Number, and Strategizers. Awards are given to schools with the top collective scores and schools with the best sportsmanship qualities in each quadrant. Each 6th grader at Vogt Elementary has a new resource to assist in their learning. Thanks to the St. Louis chapter of the Lynx, 25 Chromebooks were donated to the 6th graders, allowing each to have their own individual device. The Lynx received a grant from Wells Fargo to purchase the Chromebooks at a total cost close to $6,000. The Chromebooks will be used in the students' daily learning activities and will be utilized to help prepare them for the upcoming MAP test through one-on-one correspondence. Alright, now we have to stop the music for this next story. Get ready. McClure High School Band performed at the Missouri State High School Activities Association's large group festival and did an amazing job. The students performed 2 prepared pieces in front of several judges, as well as a sight reading piece. The band received an outstanding rating from the judges. This is the first time in several years the band has received an outstanding rating. On Thursday, March 8th, STEAM Academy Director Dr. Christine Reeves and Assistant Superintendent Dr. Adrian Bland led a discussion and community tour with representatives from local businesses, organizations, and elected officials. The discussion was held to develop new relationships and share the progress that has been made in preparing students for success in the 21st century. Representatives from Worldwide Technology, COCA, St. Louis County, North County Incorporated, and Tyler Matthews, the founder of Venture Cafe St. Louis, were a few of those who attended. Thank you to everyone who visited. McClure and McClure South Berkeley High School students enrolled in a new class at the Ferguson-Florissant School District centered around urban planning. Students left their classrooms and presented their solutions to a fictitious, dilapidated community. The students worked in teams to create carefully thought-out proposals of how to revitalize an economically depressed neighborhood and make a profit for themselves and their investors. Their plans included techniques such as predicting population growth, zoning, mapping and analysis, analyzing park space, identifying transportation and traffic patterns, allocating social services, recognizing retail demands, and analyzing the impact of land use in recreational space. MSB business teacher Brad Johnson said that students in the class gained tremendous levels of experience working on this project. These students are the first to explore urban plan curricula at McClure South Berkeley, and it is another way to expose our students to various college and career options. The Ferguson-Florissant School District is using Positive Behavioral Interventions and Supports, or PBIS. To achieve this goal, PBIS focuses on improving a school's ability to teach and support the positive behavior of all students. It is a proactive system approach to prevention and response to classroom and school discipline issues. District school principals worked with facilitators for the final time to prepare for their professional development day that took place on Monday, March 12th. School administrators worked on tracking behavior district-wide, the importance of pre-corrects, district-wide instruction of expected behaviors through the Student Expectation Code, and reinforcement of positive behaviors. Social culture of school matters, and district leaders continue to support teachers to help provide the best learning environments for all students. You can learn more about these stories and other examples of the great learning happening in our district on our website and on social media.
This portion of the meeting is allocated to show a short video for the Missouri School Board Association to provide a report of current activities and events that may be of interest to board members and to the community.
everyone, and welcome to the Missouri School Boards Association's Board Report for the month of March. We thank you for the opportunity to share some news and information during a few minutes of your board meeting. We begin with a look at school safety in the aftermath of a series of school shootings this year, including the tragedy at a Parkland, Florida high school last month that left 17 students and adults dead. School leaders and school safety officials throughout Missouri and the nation are now reevaluating district safety plans and discussing ways to ensure our schools remain among the safest places for our students, teachers, and staff. MSBA's Center for Education Safety offers what's called behavioral risk assessment training that's designed to help school officials identify and get help for troubled students in order to prevent a tragedy. Amy Bledsoe is an education safety coordinator for MSBA Center for Education Safety, and she says the training is designed for teams within a school district who then set up a formal process to help students and staff report concerns.
So you have your team members who are trained, but anyone can bring information to either the team or to another faculty or staff member. Say a student wants to bring forth something that they're concerned about, then they would tell a teacher or a coach, whoever they're comfortable with, and that person would relay the information on to the administration and the team, and then the team gets to work and identifies the situation. They go through some interview processes and figure out really what's needed in that situation and then what steps to take.
The Center for Education Safety is the only statewide school safety organization in Missouri and is supported and operated by the Missouri School Boards Association. Contact the Center for Education Safety if your school district is interested in the behavioral risk assessment training. More than 250 school board members and administrators attended the recent MSBA Legislative Forum in Jefferson City. They heard updates on legislative issues related to K-12 education pending before the General Assembly, including House Bill 2200, a measure designed to give school districts greater flexibility to develop schools of innovation. Those schools could include a curriculum, delivery method, or instructional model different from traditional schools. School districts would have the opportunity to seek a waiver from any state rule or regulation that's a barrier to developing such a school. MSBA has worked closely with State Representative Sean Rhodes of West Plains to develop the bill. He told the audience at the Legislative Forum it's important to encourage even more innovation in public schools than currently exists.
For some reason, we want to throw away a system that works, that's been overregulated, with a different system that's proven it doesn't work. That's why we came up with House Bill 2200 to take those regulations back down.
MSBA believes House Bill 2200 represents a positive agenda for public education in Missouri and urges the General Assembly to approve it this year. Another piece of legislation under consideration this year is a bill sponsored by State Senator Gary Romine of Farmington that would reform the process for appointing members to the State Board of Education. Senator Romine is the chair of the Senate Education Committee, and he told those at the Legislative Forum the bill is needed in the aftermath of Governor Greitens' recent appointments to the State Board that resulted in the removal of Margie Van Dieven as Commissioner of Education back in December.
It takes all of us, though, to make sure that our voice is heard and that people understand the flagrant abuse of power that we've seen over the last several months in trying to build a State Board of Education to do the bidding of one individual is wrong on all levels, and we have to put a stop to it, and that's what we're going to do.
The State Board of Education continues to be unable to conduct any official business since it currently has only 3 of its 8 seats filled. Governor Greitens withdrew and then renominated his 5 appointees to the State Board after the General Assembly convened in January. That move gives the State Senate additional time to confirm the nominees, but it also means the nominees cannot serve on the State Board of Education until they are confirmed by the Senate. Senators from both parties have expressed opposition to confirming the 5 nominees to the state board. Following presentations on legislative issues, board members and administrators attending the legislative forum had the opportunity to visit with legislators from their home areas at the Capitol. MSBA's Executive Director, Melissa Randall, urged members attending the forum to ramp up their advocacy efforts for students in our public schools. She said part of that involves ensuring that legislators and others see the great work going on in our schools.
Make sure they don't just hear from you when you're griping about a bill, but they hear from you about the great stuff that you're doing in your schools. Show them. We're the Show Me State. Show them your schools of innovation. Show them your innovative programs. Show them what you're doing with our students with disabilities. Bring them to your school plays and all of the different fantastic things that we're doing in our schools, because their picture, what they're being fed, is not the truth.
Speaking of innovative programs, a feature of the Legislative Forum this year was the second annual Student Showcase. Students from more than a dozen school districts set up displays in the Capitol Rotunda to show off some of the unique programs offered to students in their district. We thank all the students who participated in this year's Student Showcase. MSBA also will be hosting a Student Showcase during this fall's annual conference. MSBA spring regional meetings are coming up in April and May. A meeting is held in each of MSBA's 17 regions in the state. It's a great opportunity to network with your colleagues from your area of the state and to share ideas. Topics for this year's spring regional meetings will vary by region. You can find out more about your regional meeting and register for the meeting by visiting the MSBA website. That's it for this month's edition of the MSBA Board Report. Thanks for allowing us to have some time at your board meeting, and so long from Columbia.
This portion of the meeting is allocated for the board to provide an update of current activities and events in the district that may be of special interest to board members and to the community. Mr. Ebert?
Well, hello everyone. Wasn't it great seeing all the teachers up here? I don't remember doing that in the past. And I think that's a great, awesome thing. And what do you always say? There's 2 types of employees in the district?
Teachers and those who support teachers.
Yeah, so I'll tell you what, it was great. Seeing everybody and all the good work that gets done in all the buildings. My strategic update, the Transportation Department underwent the annual state highway inspection of our bus fleet. I'm happy to report that for the 25th year in a row, the buses passed inspection with a 90% or higher score. Only 6 other districts in the state of Missouri have achieved this rating for 25 years. This year's score was a 96. We're very fortunate to have such a diligent garage staff who do a great job maintaining our buses. And Jim Truxell's back there, who's in. Jim, why don't you wave to everybody? He's kind of in charge of the whole thing. And you know, I always say I love the bus drivers because they see our kids before anybody else and can determine how their day goes. You know, good or not so good. Okay, each month our food service management team conducts a review of each school's cafeteria for cleanliness, decor, and positive attitudes to our students and staff. An award called a Cut Above the Rest is awarded to the school with the highest score for the month. Last week, administration and the food service management team gave the award to Berkeley Middle School. So let's give a hand to Berkeley Middle. The team at Berkeley Middle was given the Cut Above the Rest trophy to proudly display, and each team member was awarded a gift card to reward them for their hard work. Today, Commons Lane, McClure Senior, and Berkeley Middle have received the award, and we're proud for all the hard work the cafeteria staff is doing this year. And I guess the other thing, last Thursday, I had an opportunity to participate in the election candidate forum. And when's that going to be online, Kevin? Is that online now?
Oh, it should be up tomorrow.
Okay, so I encourage everyone to watch that because your vote does matter. So, and I know the candidates definitely put a lot of work into it. The other thing, Scholar Bowl. Connie and Courtney were with me at Scholar Bowl. Awesome event this year. Dr. Davis was there. Tons of administrators, everybody watching these kids just can I say, have the time of their life. It was almost like a final in a basketball or football game. It was awesome, wasn't it? So really, really like that. And you know, what the MSBA gentleman was talking about with safety, I always say this, and I'm going to say it here again. We tirelessly, as a board, work to ensure that every single student, staff member, parent, anyone who comes to our buildings gets home safely that night to their families. And we're never going to give up that mission. And I mean, if there was a magic pill or something, you know, everybody'd have the cure, but we will never give up that mission to make sure and ensure that can happen. Last, I guess 3 years ago, thanks to everybody, we passed Prop I, which helped ensure the safety of a lot of our, I don't know if you want to say building entrances and doorways with swipe cards and things like that. And we're just going to carry it on from there, and we are having discussions tirelessly about that. So, thank you very much.
Good evening. I apologize to everyone for being late tonight, but I'm a teacher in Riverview Gardens, and we have our parent-teacher conferences tonight and tomorrow night. So that's where I was. So my portion is a talent management update. STEM Forward. STEM Forward is the name of a new initiative to recruit and retain diverse STEM teachers. This initiative came out of a team from the district that took part in the Smithsonian and Shell Oil Company sponsored Teacher Leadership Summit that occurred February 23rd through the 25th in Washington, D.C. The goal of the plan includes a more robust early teacher mentoring initiative as well as targeted content-driven professional development. Teacher leaders Erin King from McClure North and Sarah Winstead of McClure provided amazing leadership during the summit. A more comprehensive explanation of the plan will be presented to the board during our April board meeting. And that's all. Thank you.
You want me to go?
I have the pleasure of being on the Facility and Technology Committee, and MGT of America was approved by the Board of Education at the February meeting, and since that time, Dr. Davis and the Operations Administration has met with MGT and discussed the scope of work, data collection, information, staff meetings, and the timeline. They will assess all buildings, suitability, technology, readiness, capacity. They will also look at our education programs and will attend and participate in community meetings and other meetings as needed. The presentation to the board for this will be on July 1st, 2018. We are on track for the main projects to be completed at the STEAM school, and we are still on track to begin moving staff into the building starting in April. Temporary construction easement for the city of Florissant. They're wanting a piece of the property in front of Robinwood, and they have requested that the school district waive the right to compensation to assist with the project. Based on this information, we are requesting that the Board of Education approve the request for temporary construction easement and waive the right of compensation for the temporary easement on this project. In technology, the Microsoft board item extending Windows Office subscription has been done for 1 year. STEAM data wiring is on track for completion before April. Overall technical support feedback is 98% satisfied. Overall feedback on technology services, teacher PD sessions so far this year is 4.92% out of 5, and technology services is offering classes to prepare teachers for the Google Certified Education Test. I would also like to add that I had the pleasure of being on the being the representative for the board on the negotiation FFNEA and Ferguson Florissant negotiations this year, and it's just always wonderful to see how the teams work together for a win-win attitude and focus for teachers and administrators. They share the concern of our students and put them first in all of their talk. So I want to thank the FFNEA and the administration, and I would like to thank their leaders. If they could just stand the FFNEA team and the Ferguson Florissant administration team. Could you stand, please? Because if I made you, I'll lose somebody. I want to call up Lori and Larry did an outstanding job of being the team leaders for both teams. So thank you both very much. And I'm finished, sir.
Good evening. I'm on the Field Community Engaged Stakeholders Committee. And Ms. Hendry's first grade class at Holman Elementary had a visit from Mayor Epps of Pine Lawn last week. The students enjoyed speaking with him and learning more about the job of being a mayor of the municipality. They had the opportunity to ask questions about job creation, how to generate tax revenues, and the importance of funding projects that meet the growing demands for basic services. Special thanks to Ms. Hendry for scheduling such a great experience for the 5th graders at Holman Elementary. As part of the Make a Music program, the Muni has partnered with Ferguson Middle School to sponsor the school's production of Aladdin Jr., which will be presented at a school in May. This is the third and final year of the partnership. The partnership was recently profiled on KSDK Show Me St. Louis. A camera crew and reporter, along with reps from the Muni, recently visited Ferguson Middle to capture students rehearsing for the production. And last month I did mention about the vision, mission, and goals posters, and they will be popping up around district facilities. These posters are now in our facilities. We hope that displaying the mission, vision, and goals prominently around the district will create awareness and tighten our focus on the goals. The media, especially KSDK, has featured many positive stories from around the district over the past few months. One of the stories featured is our PST World Online representative tool. With the heightened awareness of school safety in the last month, parents and community members should find comfort that the Ferguson Florissant School District is one of the 2 districts in the state using this tool. I would like to remind students and others to report any unsafe situations or rumors to a trusted adult or through our online reporting tool, which is a PST World Online. And you can find a link also on our school website, fergflor.org. And it's very important to have an open communication between home and school. Be on the lookout for the information upcoming district events, including Earth Day at Little Creek on April 21st and our Big STEAM Expo on May 10th at McClure, South Berkeley. Both of these events are part of the Year of STEAM festivities that will culminate with a Little Creek 50th anniversary celebration this fall. And remember, our district website, fergflor.org, is a way to find all information, stakeholders, including links to many other resources, including the parent portal, menus, staff directories, and much more. And you can access the district's social media through the homepage on the website. So I want to encourage all parents to use the parent portal regularly to stay engaged with your child's education. And there is a feedback button on the bottom of the website, and it's for you to give information to the district. You can ask questions or just find out what's going on if you need more information and so forth. Testing starts in 47 days. That's also on the website. And I just want to let you know that there's a law enforcement Explorer program. The Florissant Police Department is currently looking for additional members for their Explorer program. This group is for 14 to 21-year-old young adults. And if you're interested in law enforcement as a career, the Florissant Explorers meet twice a month on the first and third Tuesday at 7 o'clock. And it's met at the Florissant Police Station, and the meetings include discussions for various law enforcement related topics. They also have a website that you can go on, florissantmove.com/police. And if anyone's interested, I do have some more information for you. So these are just some of the ways that our Ferguson-Florissant School District is building connections with stakeholders for the benefit of all of our students. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Harsh. Dr. Thurman?
Hello, everyone. Have you noticed my new necklace? Does it make my head look big? No. I just want to warn you, if you park out in the back, you may want to go move your car, because I can only look straight ahead. So I'm just warning you now. No, I'm not driving. I'm not driving. But I'm here every night at 4. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, just wanted to say thank you to the board for their support. I had surgery. I had a fusion done. Right now I have like 5 levels fused in my neck. So I just want to say thank you for your support and the beautiful flowers, and also thank you to Courtney for being my personal chauffeur. For a while, it's driving me crazy. This is one of the first times I've been out of the house since February 6th. So anyway, but I'm good. I'm good. I'm getting my voice back, and also, well, not too much of the neck thing yet, though, but I'll get it back. I have to. Okay, my area is discipline and decorum. In an effort to increase programs in the district to improve the 3 major A's, that's academics, attitude, and attendance, there's a new program called STAR, STAAAR, which is active now. The program is a voluntary program that will allow students to do recovery work, academic work in their home school. Also attendance recovery, and also will help them to give them time to work on adjusting the right attitude for success in school. The STAR program is targeted to meet the needs of students with short-term suspensions of less than 10 days. The program is designed to serve students from grades 7 through 12. The administration hopes that the success of the program will allow us to expand the program for the 2018-2019 school year. As part of our plan for continued success to meet the goals of decorum, the Students' Expectation Committee will be continuing their work in strengthening the expectations code. They'll be meeting on the 15th, on tomorrow, as a matter of fact. And so far now, the data for this school year reflects that discipline, incidents, and referrals are on a steady decline in the district. And I believe that deserves a round of applause. We just want to thank you and the administration for really paying attention to this area of concern. And we're very proud of the progress that we are making. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I guess one great thing about doing student achievement is that now, since we have the success video, half of my report is already done for me. So I'm just going to add to a few things that we saw in the video. As it was stated, March 10th, we did have Scholar Bowl. At Scholar Bowl, Dr. Davis emphasized to students and parents that it is cool to be smart in the Ferguson-Florissant School District, and that Griffith, Hall Ferry, and Cone School placed, and Robin Wood won the competition. In the video, we also saw that the STEAM Academy hosted a community outreach. That was a wonderful, wonderful opportunity to see the STEAM school in a different light through the eyes of our students. Me and Connie had the opportunity to get a tour by Isaiah, who is not here, and another student, I can't remember her name, but it was a phenomenal tour where the students were very proud of their school. It was just amazing just to see the passion that they had. It was really funny during the tour, and if anybody ever been to the STEAM Academy, they will know that the ceiling is a little different. And one of the students pointed out to me that we ran out of money and we wasn't able to finish the ceiling for the STEAM Academy. It was really cute, but it was a very wonderful experience to see our students have that much pride in their school. In the 2018-2019 STEAM 6th grade cohort has earned their place at STEAM Academy. 38 students were mailed their letters of acceptance. Next month, before reorg, the board will be approving our equity resolution plan. And it is my hope that as board members that we take a step and ensure that we are leaders and that we, as board members, look at diversity and inclusion and making sure that we are practicing what we're preaching. And in closing, I just wanted to share an article that I came across this morning that really made me think about all the progress that has been made in my 3 years on the board and how much more work needs to be done. In this article, it talks about how we owe it to ourselves, our children, and their children to make our communities a better place to live for all, even if it means ending the status quo. The first step is for us to take a current look at reality and take the stairs up to the balcony, a place where we can get an overarching view of what's wrong with our community and then determine how to make it right. It's also a time to convene to identify the problem, come together as a community to figure out what it really takes to resolve it, and then act within a defined timeline. This is something that we must do in our district. Anyone who has been in a theater and sat in the balcony knows that you get a very unique vantage point on what is happening on the stage. You're able to see things from all angles. You see it better. You get greater clarity when we view our circumstances from above the fray. The trip to the balcony is an opportunity for all of us to take a critical look at ourselves, to reassess what we see and hear, and re-inject common sense into our daily lives, and specifically to take a good look at the direction we are going. We need leaders in our community and in our district that are not necessarily at the top. We need people like you who can be the strongest single force for transformation. Folks who are not content with things that are content with things as they are. Individuals willing to lead from where they are. I'm asking that we all take the journey to the balcony, and when we get there, take a good look at our communities. But we can't stay up there. We must come down and get involved, be the change we need. Together we all can succeed. Thank you.
Thank you to everybody. So I also had the pleasure of going to the STEAM Academy. Kane was his name that gave us a tour, and I love the enthusiasm and the passion they have for their new school. So it's the second time I've been able to participate in something like that, and I encourage everybody, when the invites come out, sign up, go check it out, and you really get a great perspective from the students' eyes. As Dr. Gray said, that in April we're going to be bringing our equity resolution forward. This was something that we started, was it March of last year, if I remember, that we had the retreat? Yeah. So it's something that's been on the table for quite some time. I know Dr. Thurman, Dr. Graves and I met with Dr. Davis before. It's like, hey, what's going on with this? We don't want to just sit there. We put a lot of time and energy into it. And Dr. Davis said, sometimes you have to be patient. He wants to make sure that it's correct. And I know that he's been working hard with the team here in the district to start putting those pieces into place. The one thing that I know I can speak for the board on this one, that we did not just want words on paper, that we want a plan. We want to know where we're going to go forward with. Because it's simple just to sit up here and have a resolution brought forward for us to pass and take pictures. But we want this to be a living document. So I'm excited that it's coming forward in April, and I'm excited for what's going to happen with our district over the next several years as a result of that. In April, and I know Dr. Davis will be talking about our restructuring. I think if I keep talking about it, people won't get so anxious about it. Because it's an exciting time. I know it's nervous for a lot of people, but for me, I try to be very optimistic about it and see the potential as we move forward with this. As I said before, we all have a decision to make that we can continue spending money on paint or we can spend money in the classroom. And I'm willing to bet that everybody will say put it into the classroom. And that is what the restructuring is going to be about. So we have town hall scheduled in April, and Dr. Davis, like I said, probably will give you those dates and give you more information about it. Stay involved. We have a Facebook page that's strictly designated for the restructuring. This way you can stay informed on upcoming meetings, surveys, things like that. So please stay involved. Today was the national walkout, and I know there's also been the national walk up. And I just want to say thank you to the staff, all the teachers, the students within the school district that, you know, I told Dr. Davis recently that, you know, often as we as adults miss these events as a great learning experience or teaching moments. And I've been inspired just by the students' involvement with it. You know, you got the emotional element of, you know, the 17 deaths that took place in Parkland, but the students really want to make a difference. They want to do something positive out of this. So the feedback I've been getting has been nothing but positive. I've been inspired by other students, the thought that they really put into this. So again, hats off to everybody in the district that's been involved with this. So, thank you very much. That's all I have. Oh, yes, I'm sorry. FFNEA. Oh.
Good evening, board. Good evening. For a self-professed policy nerd, tonight is kind of an exciting night. Proud to offer you, as part of the team, a document for your consideration for a collective bargaining agreement. So, pretty exciting. You can't hear me? Wow.
I can just use my teacher voice. Okay, there we go. Just wanted to let you know we ratified with 90%, which is also kind of exciting considering the change. Did have a couple of things come up, as you would expect. The idea of losing some piece of the administrative puzzle was daunting for some. Mr. Boyd and I have already had conversations around potentially surveying staff next year, because the calendar, the earliness of it and such was another concern for some folk. Did want to make you aware of something too as you guys work through the restructuring process, that I know a lot of folk have mentioned to me the concern about increasing class sizes as that process goes through. So I just want to encourage you to be cognizant of that, and maybe that can be a piece of some of the things you address as you speak to staff and community stakeholders in the 3 forums that you're about to have. So thank you for this time, and yay.
All righty. Good evening, everybody. I'll try and get through this pretty quickly. I have some dates I'll leave with you I think are important for you to hear. But I do want to say that I've met with several high school students in the last couple of weeks here at the central level, just to bring students together, because what I've heard from quite a few students, especially high school students, is unity and bringing our students together as one. I heard that in a resounding way. We met here with about 45 to 50 high school students about 2 weeks ago now to talk specifically about what had happened at Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida back in February, on February 14. And just gave students an opportunity to express their voices and to talk about what was in their heads, what was on their minds and their hearts. And it was powerful to hear our students express themselves in the ways that they did. And after that, I personally went to each of the high schools and sat with students in the libraries or whatever space that was available for us to have even more discussion. And then this past Monday night, I had my regular parent advisory / student advisory meeting here as well at the central office. And I can tell you that our students are amazing young people who have voices that they want to be heard. And everybody doesn't express themselves the same way. And one of the things I think was really powerful about it is that, we don't always have to agree on everything, right? And one of the issues that came out in all the schools, and Kendrick, a student at McClure, made a very powerful statement. He said, what happened in Florida was a manifestation of something deeper. And he said relationships and the hard times that we have as people in this country with our relationships. And he said, especially black folks and white folks. He said, we are divided more than we're together, and we don't need to be, we shouldn't be. And he said, and it happens in our school too. And he said, he was so eloquent, because this is what he said that really, got to me. He said, as students, we are so worried about, folks talking about snitching and not telling or saying something when something's wrong. And we are risking our safety when we do that. And many other students who echoed his sentiments. It's really important for us to begin having this conversation as a country about race and class, because we're really more alike than we're different. But we look at each other and we divide ourselves because of the color of our skin, where in fact there's a lot more behind that. And to see children, babes out of the mouth of babes, I tell you, it was some powerful conversations. And so I'm proud to not only be superintendent, but a daddy here of children who believe strongly about what they believe, and then we giving them the platform to have their voices heard. And the last thing I'll say about that is, Rami comes to my mind, who's a student at North, and he was talking about his experience with Carol Daniel on KMOX. She had a radio show that they had about 5 or 6 students from various high schools. And he had a view about gun control. And what came out of it was, we don't always have to agree. His statement was, guns don't kill people, people kill people. And that drew a lot of emotion, right, in both ways. And one of the things I said was, guess what? It's okay for him to have his opinion about his beliefs and you to have yours about your beliefs, whether you agree or disagree. And it's okay to disagree, right? And I believe that I may not agree with you, but I always defend your right to say it, right? And we always try to be respectful in that process. And so with that, today our walkouts were peaceful. Several of our schools had students to express themselves, their voice through their feet and their actions. And I don't know of any incidences that happened that was anything other than peaceful. And so I can tell you that I'm proud of our children, and I hope that you are too. And we just ask that you continue to support what's going on with them growing to be adults. A couple of other things. Terry O'Neill and Dan Bierman and Larry LaRue and many others are working hard. We have an operations meeting we have every week. We had to postpone the one today, and we're going to have it in the morning. But they are working diligently on safety and our safety plan, not only looking at our safety plan and making sure that it's pretty tight, but also thinking about and hearing from what our students said. What do I do if something happens in our own community? And I think education is the best thing that we can do as a district, is to arm our students with the knowledge and empower them to act in ways that can keep our community and our schools safe. So they're working on a safety plan that I'm very proud of, and we'll be doing some things in our schools over the next few weeks to show the community how important it is to not only us, but also to our children. So the STAR program, I just want to say a word about that. We presented that already, but this is an effort to deal with some of the discipline issues in our schools. Because that's something I've heard since I've been here, is discipline. And so we've been responding to that. And, we have to move at the speed of humans, right? And that's not fast. I wish it were. And sometimes when you bite the elephant, it's tough. But the STAR program is specifically to be able to give students who've gotten suspended another place to go other than being at home with us, and we begin to restore the broken relationships maybe that have occurred. And I know Metropolitan Congregations United they believe in that, I know, and so that was another way to respond to some of the things we've heard in our community. A couple of dates, if you are a parent of a child who's a senior in high school, February 1st was the deadline for the FAFSA form. However, that was for early consideration. The final deadline is April 1st at midnight, okay? So if you have a child or know somebody in your neighborhood or family who has not completed their free financial aid form, and everybody has to do that, even if you can pay for tuition without needing any assistance, you need to submit that form. And those dollars will be given out from the federal government on a first come, first served basis, actually, right? So please make sure if you're a student or a student you know has not done that yet. I know the high schools, the high school principals have been working and the counselors diligently getting that done. But I wanted to say it in here, so maybe if there's a person or a student or a child who hasn't done that yet, that you send that message to them from us. Please get that done by April 1st, midnight. So finally, I'll say that, a lot of work has been done on preparing for restructuring. And we will be presenting on 3 different dates. So get these dates if you would, and I'm also going to give you the website address specifically so that you can go to it and get more information, because time won't give me the opportunity to say it all. But if you go to www.bergfluor.org/strong, STRONG. If you go there, it'll take you directly to a page that shows you the 3 dates. There's several dates, things that we're going to do, but we have 3 dates that are already scheduled. April 9, in a couple of weeks, and that's going to be at McClure High School. April 16th is going to be at MSB, and April 23rd is going to be at McClure North. We're going to be meeting at the high schools with the communities that feed into that high school. Anybody can come to any of those. So if you want to come to all 3 of them, we welcome you to do that. And we'll be presenting the charge that the board has given the administration to go forward with, presenting to the community on 3 options that we'll talk about potentially for restructuring our district. And we'll go deep there around our pre-K all the way through our high schools. And to me, it's really exciting. And I just encourage you to come, know some of the questions, even the class size and all those kinds of things. Looking at our fiscal responsibility. I mean, we've considered a lot of stuff. I've built an assessment system. We met with them. We'll have some science to help guide that and those decisions. But please come on April 9 at McClure or April 16 at MSB or also on April 23rd at McClure North. And each of those meetings is from 6:30 until 7:30 p.m. But we'll stay as long as you need us to. If you have questions, we'll try to answer those. So that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Right. The board allocates this portion of the meeting to allow stakeholders the opportunity to comment on both agenda items and non-agenda items at the start of each board meeting. Prior to the public comment period, participants are asked to fill out a comment card with their name, address, phone number, email address, and topic to be addressed, and will be allowed up to 3 minutes to speak. Members of the audience who wish to speak to the board are requested to speak from the podium, identify themselves, and in keeping with district policies 4054, 4059, and personnel law should refrain from making negative comments that are personally identifiable. While the board will not directly respond to speakers during the public comment period, the board president may make clarifying remarks at the end of the comment session to correct any misstatement of fact. So, first up will be Ms. Judy Ferguson Shaw. Let's talk about the board's strategic plans.
So good evening, everybody.
Good evening. And as the board president has said, my name is Judy Ferguson Shaw. And I come to you tonight a little disturbed about stuff that's going on in the community and the leadership that the wonderful board members before us are supposed to display. I sat back there and I listened to the strategic plans and what you all are doing, and this logo stares me in the face that says One District United. And I spent a lot of time between last June to January to recognize individuals in our school district, past and present, who did some really good things for us when we merged in 1975 and 76. Actually thanking them for the wonderful jobs that they did back then, and all of them were very appreciative of that work that we did for them. And then the campaign starts, and someone sends me a note from one of our board members where the board member goes on. It was a shameful act. It was one of division, deception, and fear, and causing our school community to do what we didn't want to do, and that is to separate in different areas. I remember when I was working, we had some really courageous conversations around race and trying to help our children to grow up and live together and try to understand each other. We had a Meet the Candidates forum, and you've been told to watch the video, where when it opens up, the first thing out of one of our person's mouth that night was a lie that caused stress for a lot of people. And they knew it was a lie because they come back and say, well, I hope you're not in trouble with Judy Shaw. What does Judy Shaw have to do with you lying? So we are using our position of authority with the district's logo that belong to the taxpayers of this district to cause stress in our community. And I'm calling upon the board members here. You're saying that you are really about trying to build unity in our schools. I'm asking you to discipline yourselves, because it is your responsibility to discipline yourselves once you get these high-powered positions that you're sitting in, and not to go out there and cause stress in our community. I spent months and weeks as a new career person in education at the time that the districts were going to merge, trying to deal with, and we were taught how to deal with people who don't understand you because you're black, that you might say something that would cause them stress. And sometimes just walking in a room and being black causes stress to some whites because they don't understand you, because they didn't grow up with you and they don't know much about you. So you find ways to deal with the stress without causing stress on other people. And that's what I found. A number of people during this campaign season causing stress for no reason. And then when you speak as a board member, you need to know that the members of the community look up to you. And if you say something and you allow it out of your mouth, they believe you. Even if it's not true, they believe you. And I believe some of you sitting up here need to apologize tonight to the community for the things that you've done that you know is wrong. And I'm begging upon you to do that, because folk are watching you and they believe you. I know I went over, and I have a lot more to say, but I'm just going to leave it there.
Thank you very much. Next up will be Miss Mildred Klein. She's a candidate for the school board. Is she here? Oh, there she is.
Good evening. Like the school board president said, my name is Mildred Klein, and I'd just like to tell you all a little bit about myself. I am a candidate for the school board, and the election is April the 3rd. I am actually running with Dr. Graves, and I are running on a slate, so we need you all to vote for candidate number 2 and number 3 on the ballot. I'm a 30-year resident here in Ferguson. All my children went through the entire school system, the Ferguson Florissant School District system, from kindergarten through 12th. Both my sons graduated from McClure High School. I'm a past president of Bermuda Elementary. I also was an active parent at Ferguson Middle and McClure High School. I'm very active in the community. I am a member of the Ferguson Policing Steering Committee. I'm a member of the Ferguson Collaborative. I'm a member of the I was a past member of the Civilian Review Board Task Force. I am a part of a group called Community Impact Partners and another group called Pot Bangers, and that's where we assist the unhoused with food and shelter. I am celebrating my 40th year at Ameren. I'm an electrical inspector and an investigator. What I believe every child deserves a quality education. I believe that all students and staff deserve a safe learning and work environment. I believe the district's accreditation should be at its highest standard. I believe that a top-notch district will raise the community's property values. So if you don't have children, you still have a stake in this school district. I believe in a diverse community and a diverse school district. What am I going to do? As board member, I will work along with the superintendent on improving absenteeism. I will help develop strategies that will reduce out-of-school suspensions. I will work on expanding the STEAM program to all schools. I will work on increasing the graduation rate of students being accepted into college and technical schools. Even if you decide not to go to school, you'll at least you have that option to go to school. So I would appreciate your vote. Like I said, Dr. Graves and I are running together on a slate, and we need your vote. So please vote for candidate number 2 and number 3. Thank you.
Dr. Thurman, would you be kind enough to read the disbursements?
Sure. Payroll, teacher and non-teacher, $8,731,401.35. Operational disbursements, $1,906,394.88, with a total of $10,637,796.23. Thank you.
Do I have a motion
I
to?
move we accept the consent agenda.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passed. All right, Elevate K through 12. Dr. Hazel, Bev, Smith, the whole crew.
Good evening. Elevate K-12 uses Logic, which stands for Live Online Group Instruction Classes, to provide Tier 2 and Tier 3 interventions for students to assist with improving academic performance. Aligned to the Missouri Learning Standards, Elevate K-12 will allow for targeted groups of students in 2 of our elementary schools to receive targeted math intervention for 6 weeks prior to math testing this spring. Online instructors and an in-class supervisor are provided for each school as part of the program, and no additional responsibility will be placed on our current instructional staff. 73 students from 2 schools, Johnson Wabash and Griffith Elementary, have been identified as potential candidates based on their previous year's performance data as likely to move from below basic to basic on this year's state assessment. If successful, this will assist these 2 schools in meeting their 80% APR goal. We are looking to fund it through Title I and School Improvement Aid funds for a total of $26,000. We are asking for the board to approve the purchase of Elevate K-12 to provide Tier 2 supports for students at Johnson Wabash and Griffith Elementary Schools.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion's been made by Ms. Hogshead, and there was a tie between Ms. Ponder and Ms. Ponder. Okay. Discussion on this.
How was the school selected again? I'm sorry.
They had some title funding left from this year, so they had some additional title funding left for this year.
Any other questions? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passed.
Adam wants me to wish all of you a happy Pie Day.
All right, the district mentoring program, Mr. Fields, Frank Logan, and David Shields.
Good evening, board again. The district mentors will be using the John Catherman's Manual to Manhood. These lessons will engage young men and women to take ownership of their learning and become avid readers, writers, and critical thinkers. The manual enables and equips students with tools to be productive citizens. Two of the major initiatives the district will focus on during the remaining of this year and the 2018-19 school year include President Obama's national initiative, My Brother's Keeper and My Sister's Keeper. Both initiatives will focus on proper etiquette to achieve professional and personal success in students' lives as they come of age as young adults. In addition, these initiatives will develop high school students to be mentors for middle and elementary age students. And I'd just like to add, when we talk about safety, it really is about building relationships. And I'm happy to say, besides Dr. Davis, in terms of if you were to ask students who people are in the district, besides Dr. Davis in terms of visiting schools and sitting down with kids, it would be these two gentlemen right here. The work they are doing with kids on an individual relationship building basis is unmatched, and I'm just happy to be a part of that. Besides, I don't have to do it.
This is just going to be for information only, so do you have any questions? Can you describe this manual?
Yes. The manual, it's a beautifully laid out manual. In fact, last year we had an opportunity, Jonathan himself actually came in. But what the manual really does is it really teaches kids a lot of practical skills that we take for granted as adults. And it really breaks them down as to, how they should conduct themselves. Everything from tying a tie to using a hammer to asking a young lady out on a date to etiquette at the table, you name it. I mean, it's just things that as adults and professionals we take for granted. But it's amazing how many of our students are not exposed to these quality of things. So it's just a wonderful manual. It's just laid out step by step. So that's what makes it so exciting.
Yeah, I'm going to give that to my son when he returns from spring break. I was looking through it, and it just made me funny because it was like how to change a tire.
Yes.
Well, I got a 2 a.m. phone call from my son, and his car alarm was going off, and he didn't know how to make it stop. So I'm trying to coach him how to disconnect the battery while he's FaceTiming me. So this, I'm not sure if that chapter would have been in there, but maybe some of those basic skills would have helped him and prevented a 2 a.m. phone call to me. So it's a really neat book. So.
It really is.
Is there a cost?
Actually, we've been given many of the books themselves, but
So just a quick sort of some details around it. So we have invited 30 young men to be part of the inaugural cohort, and any student we won't turn any student away, but we're starting out where we're inviting them, giving them a formal letter because that will be really good, especially when they apply to college and have been a part of something as positive as this will be. We're going to have a formal induction ceremony. We're writing a letter to Macy's and Nordstrom and Dillard's and asking them to support. We want each young man to have a blazer and a bow tie, and we're going to teach them how to tie ties and bow ties. But the manual itself, Jonathan Catherman's an amazing guy. He works with Stephen Covey, and so we met him a couple of years ago. There are 100 lesson plans in the manual, and the things that Gary's talking about, from budgeting to everything else that every parent would want their child to know, male or female. And the lesson plans are so that we'll be meeting with the board. Frank and Dave will be meeting with the young men and teaching these lessons once a week until we can get a place that we can do it. So we started at each high school, so every high school is involved, and then we're going to trickle down to the middle schools and the elementary schools. But those lesson plans one a week, 100 lesson plans. It takes you almost 2 years to get it done, right? Because these 2 weeks in the year, and you're not in summertime. But we want to make sure that when we bring our young men and our young ladies together, and we start the young men first, that we have organized, structured lessons that are going to give our students some tools to use. I mean, I think it will be an amazing opportunity for us to really show our young men how to become men, and eventually our young ladies as well. We're really excited about what that's going to look like in our community, bringing our students together.
Any other questions?
Data implementation, I'm sorry.
So, go ahead. Yeah, well, so y'all should be saying, not me, right? So we've been several times, but so our induction ceremony is actually scheduled for April 24th. Yes. So the young men will be invited, and they'll have to return their letters by the Monday we return. I think it's the 26th of March. Right. And so we'll start meeting with them the following week, and we'll meet with them on a weekly basis. And then we plan to have a formal induction ceremony. Right now it's slated for April, depending on how we get responses from the companies who can support us in that work.
I have a question, because this says young men and women.
We're ready for that question. Okay.
So when will you start with the women?
Nope. The women will start next year. Only because you got to build under them. You got to build. And the young men did get a job, but that decision, it was a conscious decision based off the data. So if you remember the data we used in terms of just looking at where infractions were occurring with what particular group most, and it was our young men. So it was a very conscious decision that we made, but certainly we did not leave out the young ladies.
Yeah, you did, but. Okay, all right.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
All right, Mr. Hadley, we're going to talk about a partnership with the special school district.
Yes. Good evening, Board of Education. Little Creek would like to be a vocational skills site for the Ferguson-Florissant School District, as well as other surrounding school districts. Transition from school to adult life must be addressed in the individualized education program for the IEP. When a student who attended 4 years of high school still has transition needs in order to successfully meet post-secondary goals, he or she may be considered for the vocational skills program at Little Creek. Little Creek welcomes these students to support student programs by helping to maintain and enhance the campus. General custodial duties, enhancing landscaping, maintaining a vegetable garden, and educational tools like making informational maps will be some of the responsibilities for the students enrolled in the vocational skills program. I'm asking you to consider approving the Memorandum of Understanding for partnership with Special School District to make Little Creek a vocational skill program site beginning the 2018-2019 school year.
I need a motion to approve the Memorandum of Understanding for partnership with the Special School District. Motion made by Mrs. Hogshead, and seconded by Mrs. Harge, right?
Sounds good.
All right. Any questions? Nothing? All right. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Hear none? Motion passed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, Mr. Vogel, you want to do geometry?
Well, I first want to say happy Pi Day to everyone. Or my Pi Kai.
If you were sincere, yes, right. Remember this and eat up, please.
A slice of pie, right?
Due to the need for curriculum resources that meets the needs of geometry, our geometry students, the district is requesting the purchase of Big Ideas Geometry for Cengage that will replace our current geometry text. These resources will be for use in our 4 middle schools and 3 high schools in our district. If approved, the resources will be ordered so that the teachers receive materials before the end of the school year. Professional development will be provided in May 2018 and at the beginning of the 2018-19 school year. Objective to focus on the Missouri Learning Standards for Geometry to improve students' performance and preparation for college and career readiness. Recommendation be requested approval of the purchase of Big Ideas Geometry in the amount of $82,782 from the district textbook account.
I need a motion to approve the purchase of the Big Ideas Geometry.
So moved.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passed.
Thank you.
Dr. Bland. Or a whole group of people?
We're all back.
So you want us to approve the current 8th grade STEAM cohort to attend the McClure North High School beginning in the fall of 2018. All right.
Currently, there are 42 8th grade students enrolled in STEAM who are preparing to attend high school in the district for the 2018-19 school year. Taking into account student interest and overall course offerings, we are recommending the students remain as a cohort and attend high school at McClure North. There is a significant interest among students in the potential of having access to IB at McClure North as they reach their junior year. Additionally, McClure North offers greater access to courses across departments, and particularly in AP, which is also of great interest to our STEAM students and families. Our objectives are to maximize the opportunities for our current STEAM students by keeping them as a cohort, reducing transitions, and maximizing their educational opportunities for IB and AP courses in high school. We are recommending that the board approve the current 8th grade STEAM cohort attend high school at McClure North High School beginning in the fall of 2018.
I need a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Questions?
Are they going to be like together, like at the at McClure?
For the most part, our goal is to keep them together. There are 42 of them, so ideally we would like to keep them in 2 small cohorts as they pass through their core. There will be some differentiation when they pick their electives, but for the most part, our goal is to keep them together as a cohort and also have a check-in spot where they will also have connection to consistent connection to an adult every day.
Transportation and the cost for that.
We don't have a cost yet, but we can get that information.
Question. With McClure North already being very, very much overcrowded, why choose, I mean, I understand the IB, fine, but why choose a high school that's already overcrowded? I mean, something.
So when you look at the numbers of students and the courses that they would be in, those courses are at low numbers right now. So those classes would not be overcrowded if those students would, those additional 42 students would be in.
The AP classes.
Mm-hmm.
So let me just add that, so we've considered a number of places. Here's what's really important to consider as well. We consider some other places to keep our STEAM students together. So I mentioned earlier that we're going to be having our community meetings in April. So there's some recommendations that will lay out STEAM 912 a little bit more. But this is the path of least resistance because all of what happens is going to be driven by community input, community engagement, and whatever direction the board tells us to go in. And so we thought about, well, if nothing changes, where's the best place for us to put our 9-12 students? Our parents are waiting for us to do something with our, have a plan for our current 8th graders who are at the STEAM school. So if nothing changes at all, and that's how we try to consider it, what's the best place and the path of least resistance for our students? And IB has driven quite a bit of that. Dr. Forbes, Dr. Crowley, Dr. Reese, all of them have worked diligently in thinking about, so what's the best place for us to put our STEAM students right now until we know more? So it could be that in 2 years, some things are different as we transition into our sort of restructuring mode. But right now, I think what's really important is, and the schedules can do this, is keep our students together in a cohort until we have a permanent place for them. And it could be that permanent place is north, or not. But we're thinking about if nothing changes, then that's the best route for them, and thinking about a transition plan. We walked the buildings. Larry, all of them have walked several buildings right in our district, trying to think of scenarios and really get in the head of how would an 8th grader who's going to be a 9th grader experience their first year in high school. Thinking about course offerings, IB, AP, North, all of the high schools have done a yeoman's job at identifying more students taking AP classes, period. North closed the gap last year in Virginia and Chicago, so there are absolutely more offerings at North because of the size. The numbers are down at North some. We have about 1,500, 1,600 students there now, as opposed to where it was about 1,800, 1,900. So there's space, but it's still kind of tight, and it's not the most ideal situation, which is why we're going through this process, right? So that's why those April meetings will be really important, so that any questions people have about long term. So this could be long term. I hope it's not, but it's at least a good place for our students for the next year or two until we can transition into the direction the board gives me from community input. I hope that makes sense.
Do you know, you said there's 42 students. How many of them are already McClure North students?
That's a good question.
Because that number may...
22.
So almost half. Okay,
Yes.
So we're talking about 20 students. Okay. See, that sounds a little bit better. Yes.
Any other questions? All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passed. Dr. Hazel and Dr. Bland.
Several buildings have planned a trip to view the historical Black Panther movie. According to District Policy Appendix S, PG-13 movies can be viewed with permission for 9 through 12 grade students. We are requesting this policy be suspended for students in grades K through 8 to go see the Black Panther movie with parent permission. Funding source, Ferguson Middle PBIS activity funds and students funded for Ferguson students to attend at $4,000. Cross Keys students funded themselves at $1,120, and Central was donated movie tickets. Our recommendation is to approve the suspension of Appendix S.
I need a motion to approve the suspension of Appendix X, or S.
So moved. Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Discussion.
I just want to say my niece personally asked me to put this favor in for her as a board member. So I'm going to go ahead and vote yes. She rarely asks me for stuff like this as a board member, so just wanted to throw that out there. I told her we was voting on it tonight, because she already prepared.
So when I became aware of this, I know the initial conversation was to allow middle school. This is a PG-13 movie. I've seen the movie. We just had a conversation a month ago about violence in movies and video games, things like that. I mean, there's violence. So I was shocked, honestly, when I saw the approval of kindergartners, first grade, second, third, to go see this movie. What made you change your mind?
So I can respond some to that. I mean, and you ladies can as well, because we've had this conversation a number of times. I've been to see it twice. My son actually 3 times to see it. And it's a PG-13 movie. It's action feel, I can tell you that. I've had parents to, be a little warm because we had to put some halts on, folks allowing students to go before we brought this to the board. So from our vantage point, no student is going to go, whatever age they are, if the parent doesn't give express permission for it. So for mom, I think it's important to give the parents that permission, and not us. So I'm not saying I'm endorsing a kindergartner to go. What I'm saying is that if that parent is giving permission, written permission for them to go, then that should be their ability to decide and not mine or ours. So that's one of the reasons we did that, because it's PG-13 and our policy, and to allow students to go. Some folks got a little warm with us because we had to stop, but the policy policy is such that it's only, high schoolers. And so if we let them go, they would have been violating policy. So that's why we're bringing it now. I think it's a parent's decision, and if students will only go if we have written express permission. In fact, some schools, the Central in particular, their bid committee had that conversation, and some teachers may have some reticence as well. But I think that's a parent's decision.
What about who's chaperoning? I mean, it's different taking, 8th graders when if you're taking 25 first graders, and maybe what they're seeing on the movie screen is disturbing to them.
Right.
How do you handle it?
Yes, Mr. Mack is here this evening. They have thought through all those pieces. The donation was made by an actor that picked Central out of the blue, as far as we know, just picked a Ferguson school to donate. And they have a system set up that if a child does get upset, that there would be an adult there. So they not only paid for the students to go, or they're making the donation, and staff to go. So we have 20 staff members that will be attending with the students.
How many students?
Mr. Mack, come on up.
Yeah, there's 250, well, there's 220 students at Central.
And you're only taking 20 teachers?
Mr. Mack, is it?
So we're taking our entire staff. Look, today, after everyone. Good morning. We're taking everyone in our buildings going. We've worked out a plan with our kindergarten and first grade teachers that with building aides and teachers will sit strategically between students. I've been in classrooms reading the comic book, the new version, Tessa Coney Holtz has written. So the kids are familiar that it's fantasy, it's fiction, which falls into literature. So I understand your concern that we've taken all that into consideration, like Dr. Davis said. We talked about this with our big and our ILT teams to make sure that this is something that we can deliver in a effective way. So we don't want to miss out this opportunity of a king of Africa as a superhero who's the richest superhero of all. He's a trillionaire, just put that plug in.
I have a question, just being
devil's advocate. If we decide as a board to suspend this, are we saying as a board that we are supporting having kindergartners, first graders, even second graders go to see a movie that does have a level of violence in it, that allowed it to be a PG-13 movie? I would tell you, I've seen the movie. I love the idea, the premise of it. I understand it as an adult. I don't know if I feel comfortable as a board member giving that permission for kindergarten to first grade. I'm just not sure that the board, I'm not speaking for the board, but as a board member, that if someone came up to me and said, you think it's okay for even though I'm going to let my child go, you think it's okay for children to see this level of violence at kindergarten, first grade? Because I struggle with that.
And if you've got the tickets, why can't if the parents want them to see it, why can't you give the parents the tickets and let them take them? I don't think that's a school function, so.
I want to say one thing. If the parent is approving it, hopefully the parent would have been and seen it or read the book or anything. A parent to sign off for kindergarten to see it, they must really approve for that kindergarten to see it. So I don't see a problem. The parent didn't see a problem. I would see it a problem if, a parent did not approve, maybe, and some parents do, because you figure like this. There's a lot of kindergartners that have those video games that's more violent than that Black Panther movie. To tell you the truth, I've seen some of those video games. And if the parent gives the permission, I mean, why should we deny that? And maybe it's a thing where the parent cannot take the child. I don't know what the situation is, but there's a lot of situations that come up with parents and the kids or whatever. And the kid might feel safer going with the school, a bunch of kids their age. That's another thing to consider. I feel like this, if the parent signs off on it, the parent must know about the movie, they're giving it okay for their child. And I've seen the movie, I mean, it has some violence in it, but it wasn't like the violence that would victimize the child would go to bed and have bad dreams about, like some of the horror movies you see. And, I don't see that. That's my opinion.
Any other comments?
I think it's really cool, so I think they should be able to go, but that's just me, because it's all the kids at my school are talking about it, but a lot of them would never be able to have the opportunity to go, so I think it's a really, and I don't know if that's the same with the kids here, but that's you know, it might be so. I think it's a new experience. And I understand what you're saying, Donna, but kind of back to what Dr. Davis said, I personally don't really feel like it's us giving the permission. At the end of the day, it's the parents. So if the parents are saying, I know it stems from us.
It is us giving the permission.
But if the parents are
If we
okay.
say
with
no,
it,
they can't go.
Yeah.
And what if a parent doesn't give permission, and then I'm the only one that doesn't get to go? And so my feelings are hurt because I don't get to go because my mother doesn't want me to go. I don't.
Then you stay home.
Yeah, I stay home and cry because I didn't get to go with everybody else.
What is your plan for all the students that can't go? I'm sure you have something.
We do. They still need to participate in the lessons that are assigned to the movie-going event, and they'll be kept back at the school with 2 teachers who are staying with them. So we don't have subs there. We have the classroom teachers that are volunteered to stay back with these students.
How will you use this? You said you have a lesson plan or that you're using, and what is the basis of this lesson plan?
So
what are you teaching?
So, go ahead. So we have several lessons tied to writing standards, reading standards, listening and speaking standards are tied to it for kindergarten through 6th graders. They're writing thank you letters to the actor who sponsored the trip. They're also doing some things around story elements, character, setting plot. They're looking at problem solutions. 6th graders are looking at how characters change and evolve. So there is a detailed lesson plan that we can share with you that covers the things that we thought would be that would connect the students to this character.
Any other questions?
No, but I have a comment to the board, and that is I am going, after listening to everybody's discussion, I'm voting no, but I made the motion. After hearing discussion, I am allowed to change my mind, so I didn't want anybody getting all excited.
Any other questions, comments? All right.
Before we make it, I'm so sorry. Do we want to separate the motion? Because with that motion, we're saying that it seems like the biggest problem is that everybody's having with the younger kids. And I don't want people to vote on the motion of saying that the older kids can't go. And I just want to know, do we need to separate the motion? And for those who are thinking about voting no, is it no for across the board or is it just for the kindergarten?
Well,
That's the question that keeps being asked.
Right now, the way it's written, that, you vote no, then nobody goes except for 9 through 12, unless you can modify the motion to allow, 6, 7, and 8 again, if that's the desire.
So the motion is K8. The motion is K8, and I have my opinions on it, and my opinion doesn't matter because I'm not voting. But I do say that I think it's a parent's decision, and that's why we're bringing it to you. Because I've been posed with this many a time, y'all, the last week and a half, especially. Folks have got mad because we said no, don't take anybody in, because I didn't want somebody to violate policy. The policy is that it's a PG-13 movie. That's high school, so it's for K8 because the middle school people are waiting on us to for you all to make a decision. And I've taken the position that if a parent gives permission, then that's where I'm bringing to you to suspend this policy. So it's K8.
Well, you heard what he said. Right now, this is my concern, that I see the appeal. It was a great movie. I enjoyed it. I understand the historical significance of the movie. But how can we as a board and as educators have a conversation about violence in movies, in video games, and books, when we're going to sit here and potentially say, oh, we'll make an exception on this one?
Write a policy in the first place.
And we're using taxpayers' dollars to take them there, I'm assuming, because they're going in buses, is that correct? How are they getting there?
They will get there by a bus, but they're paying for it with the donation, or the students are paying for it themselves.
So in so Cross Keys is paying for their own bus, not just the tickets?
No, they divided the bus costs and the tickets and divided it by the students, so students are paying for both.
So is there a way we can change this? Because if you were to change it to 6th and 8th graders, 6th through 8th graders going, my vote would be different.
So, does everybody have to go on the bus? I don't know, I'm just asking, with you breaking it up like that, could I like drive my own kids there? Or, I mean, I don't know how this is being structured, I just asking.
So field trips, so we use, school buses to do that, but, fuel costs and cost for drivers to do that. And so whenever you do a field trip, you always factor in those transportation costs. So safety-wise, it's best to let everybody go together, so you have the chaperones and all that. But the costs involved are part of the whole field trip package when you put together the cost of the trip itself. So that's already been taken care of. So there's no additional dollars being pressed on our budget. It's the field trip. That's any field trip, though, right? That's any field trip.
So could we vote, if we decided to vote this down, then could we bring back and vote different grade levels or change it to whatever?
The board can make any motion you want.
Or you can take back your motion.
So instead of breaking it up into two things, can we just vote the way it is? And if it doesn't pass, I'm asking.
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
You wanna do roll call on this?
Roll call.
All right, let's do roll call, I guess. Dr. Thurman?
Mr. Ebert?
Pass on this, I'm still thinking about it. Seriously.
Okay. Ms. Ponder?
Aye.
Ms. Hogshead?
I vote no.
Ms. Hart?
Aye. Yes.
Secretary votes no. Dr. Graves?
Aye.
Mr.
Chapeau?
I vote no.
Oh, God.
You knew that was gonna happen, it's just a simple math problem.
So if you
Basically,
abstain, then
motion
it
died,
just
right?
dies.
Well, I mean,
No.
Scott did not vote.
You abstained, didn't you?
you just pass for the moment. You pass for the moment, you pass it all together for the motion.
Just for the moment.
How long do you like us to wait?
When I
You
don't-
can abstain and then it would just.
I don't like the fact that we're just picking and choosing one movie.
Yep.
That's the part that bothers me.
Well,
So I'll vote no.
So the motion fails.
Can I say something too? And you say just for this movie, there might be other movies that may come up in the future, and this will probably come up again. This is the first time this movie has, it's exploded. So this won't be the first time this will come up. So, so it's not, I don't think, because this is the first time, I think there'll be other movies that'll come up as well.
Do we need to change the policy then? That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah, because I feel that.
I think we need a bigger discussion on changing that policy.
Yeah, we do, but I feel like because they put this parent stipulation in there, with parent permission, if they didn't have that in there, that would be totally different. So that's just.
Okay.
I would like to make a motion, that we approve, to change the policy for the 6th through the 8th grade, to be allowed to go see the, Black Panther movie.
All right, motion's been made to suspend, Appendix S for grades 6 through 8.
Second.
All right, motion's been made and seconded. Discussion.
So, I don't have a question about that, so should I not? My question was about the central students and tickets, so should I not talk about that right this minute? Because we're talking about 6 through 8. I was,
Talk about it.
okay, so all I was gonna ask, if we approve this, the middle school and high school saying that they can go, I just feel kind of bad for the kids at Central that had the movie tickets donated to them, that would go to waste. So my question was kind of back to something you said, can they take the tickets home and see it on their own? Or what ended up happening with the ticket?
The actor purchased a matinee show, so it's like it's during the day. It's not a
Saturday,
weekend.
Sunday.
It's not a weekend show, they purchased matinee tickets.
I mean,
That's what they made the donation for.
That's what I'm still saying though, for the younger, ones, if the parents, let them know that the board didn't approve for whatever grade level we're going down. And then, if they want to come to the school to get the tickets, great. I mean, they can allow to get the tickets but I would say at least let sixth grade though.
Is there an expiration date on these donated tickets?
Well, they set a date for the
It's
tickets.
actual
So that means the parents would have to take off in order to take the child.
Well, I mean, we could see if the movie theater would switch the date over spring break. I mean, that might be an option. And sixth grade is at Central, so
Right,
just.
we would say the sixth graders, so. The person who gave the tickets would not be willing to allow another school to take the tickets. I know the principal doesn't want that to happen, but they can go, I mean, it's either they go to waste or you give them up.
I think the parents might actually do it.
So that means attendance, that means they're gonna take time out of school.
No, they would have to go on that day.
So an option.
That makes sense.
I mean, we could give
I don't
the
know, I'm
tickets
just
to the
saying March
kindergarten
4th,
from
they
fifth
have.
grade.
Listen, young.
I mean, if it's voted down, we could give it, since it has been, we could give the tickets to the kindergarten and fifth grade students. Each one would get one, and then I guess the open spring break, the parents could take them, so we could just take sixth grade as a class activity.
I thought you said they were for a certain day.
We can give
Well,
it to
they
them.
currently are for a certain day right now.
We can try.
Any other questions?
Would you be willing to share with other sixth graders?
Yes.
I think you said you would.
I mean, it's your call. I mean, but I would say maybe,
That's fine.
cause I like Lee Hamilton and Bo, cause they in my region.
Well, if that's the case, I want whole man
All right, well,
You guys ready? All right. The motion's been made to allow, suspend policy appendix S for grades 6 through 8. All right. Dr. Thurman, call the vote, please.
Mr. Eber.
Aye.
Ms. Ponder.
Aye.
Ms. Hogshead. Ms. Hart. Secretary votes aye. That's correct.
aye.
And aye. Thank you very much.
Do whatever you will with the tickets. Be fruitful and multiply.
All right. Dr. Hazel, approve the purchase of the AVID program?
Yes, and I'd like to invite Mr. Gerald and Ms. Beth. AVID, Advancement via Individual Determination, is a global nonprofit organization that's dedicated to closing the achievement gap by preparing all students for college and other post-secondary opportunities. AVID targets students with the desire to go to college and the willingness to work hard but may not be experiencing academic success. These are students who are capable of completing rigorous curriculum but are just falling short of their potential. The AVID curriculum develops students' academic skills such as reading, writing, and critical thinking. Academic behaviors including organization, time management, and goal setting are also taught as part of the AVID system. AVID's curriculum supports high levels of achievement for all students and aligns to state content standards. AVID trains educators to use proven practices in order to prepare students for success in high school, college, and a career, especially students that have traditionally been underrepresented in higher education. McClure would like to provide the AVID curriculum and experience as an elective to freshmen during the fall 2018. This would be funded through title funding. So the recommendation is for the board to approve the purchase of the AVID program at McClure High School.
I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Discussion with.
How would this work with Elevate, or is it two separate entities, or?
It is two separate entities. Elevate is more of a mentoring that's focusing on our sophomores. We will have some freshmen that might have the opportunity, but and we're talking about Elevate with Frank Bell. Yes. So we think it would complement it. The Elevate, Mr. Gerald has a lot of experience with it. He's seen the program before. Would be kind of like, is it in our seminar class?
So when we originally began to work for the Freshman Academy, we wanted a curriculum that would provide the teachers with supports for the curriculum, but also create a college-going culture. Elevate was introduced to us, but again, it provides lots of mentoring supports, but this is more of an academic support. AVID is advancement via individual determination. So what you would see in a freshman class for students who have AVID, particularly with organizational skills, it has a structured note-taking, the Cornell note-taking system. There are instructional strategies, and it places a premium on teacher professional development as well. And so it's more of a curriculum-based than it is, it has more curriculum-based elements as opposed to just developing the relationships. While that is a component of AVID, it does in fact provide more instructional strategies and supports for teachers and students, along with job-embedded professional development. That's a huge part of it, is the job-embedded professional development that purchasing AVID will provide supports for teachers directly in the classroom.
Are there any other questions? There are none. Motion's made and seconded. Do I, all in favor to approve the purchase of the AVID program at McClure High School, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passed. So now we need somebody, oh, you're coming forward for, now we need somebody to run it. Right? Yeah.
Yeah. Right. You tricked us.
Good evening. The administration is recommending a new position titled AVID Planning Coordinator. The Advancement via Individual Determination Planning Coordinator will be primarily responsible for working with principal, site team, staff, and realizing school-wide AVID as a means to strengthen the core instruction at McClure High School. It will increase access to and equity for college and career readiness for students. The position is for the remainder of the 2017-18 school year, and the salary for this position will be between $57,000 and $68,000 per year. Now that's an annual basis, so it would be prorated for the rest of this year.
I need a motion to approve the AVID Planning Coordinator position. Motion's been made and seconded. Question. I have one. Is this a teaching contract or administrator's contract? Is what it is? So it's going to be a 12-month contract?
So this contract would only run through the end of the year. So the person coming into this position for the planning portion of ramping up the AVID program, that particular position will be for the end of this year. We will have a process of looking at a longer-term site coordinator, which is a part of the AVID framework for a particular school building. And part of the process of planning is that we would have a person, hopefully, that would evolve into that position. But they're two different positions. So you need the planning piece, and then you need the ongoing coordination piece.
And funding would come from?
So that would be out of general operating budget for this year.
So Dr. Walker will probably offer some more clarity to the need for now and the need for going after July 1. So you want to speak to that?
Sure. So we are excited that the secondary schools received targeted Title I funding this school year. They received that in November, December-ish. And so with targeted Title I funds, the dollars can only be utilized for exactly what it says. A targeted group of students in order to make moves, make gains, right? And so what we're trying to do is do some planning, because next school year, our secondary schools will be school-wide. And that means that the funds for Title I that they'll receive can be utilized to support the entire building and improvement. And so what we need to do now is we can use our target funds to pay for the programming and the professional development for someone and or teachers for AVIT for next year. But we have to have someone to actually get the program off the ground between now and June 30th. And we can't use target funds for that, because that position is really a coaching type position. What we're wanting this position to be is a planning position, which is why it plainly says in there that they're gonna plan from now to June 30th, putting the pieces in place, organizing the materials and supplies that are necessary in order for this to get off the ground and run for next year, so we can start the school year with a great transition program for our 9th graders. In July, actually a little bit before July 1, because July 1 starts the school-wide Title I planning and funds. And so at that point, then I can hire an AVID coordinator, site coordinator, not a planner, because we're gonna hire someone part-time right now with district funds in order to do the planning piece. The coach that will run this program will support the administration at the Corps and really get this off the ground for next year will be federally funded.
Okay, and so maybe you said this, but what will happen to the planners? What are you gonna do with them in June?
Well, the person that would be in this position?
Right.
They are welcome to apply for the position that will be federally funded. Yes, their work is in planning what this looks like. And the deal is, AVID actually has a great system for what that looks like, but they require that there be someone in place to ensure that this actually rolls out correctly in the fall.
Okay, so you're gonna be looking to hire someone for a couple of months, you're talking about?
Yes.
And someone's gonna actually accept that. Okay.
Of course, if that person is a rock star, then we're going to hope that they will apply for the position that will be in place, and it'll be posted very shortly, that will be in place for a Title I funded AVID coordinator for next school year.
Okay, who will be training the person to get AVID started? I mean, you have someone new coming in.
AVID comes in and does that work.
AVID comes in,
yes.
okay.
Yes, and we'll be able to use the Title I targeted funding in order to have them do that now.
Okay.
So all the district is responsible for is from now till June 30th, and then that is no longer a position of the districts, that is a Title I.
That position is not a title funded, I want to make sure we have our lingo correct. That planning position is a district funded position, someone that is working from now till June 30th to assist us in getting this off and then that position ends June 30th.
Okay, that's what.
We will be posting a new position that will do some of these things, but many more. It's probably a 3-page job description for the AVID coordinator.
Yeah, but that position has to come here before, because we haven't.
Definitely.
Yeah, so what she's basically saying then is that the position that we're asking now for now is just it's a district position for the rest of this year to June 30th to do the planning work that AVID needs, that McClure would need to do AVID, get AVID up and going for July 1. Now, after that, we'll bring the coordinator, whatever that title may be, that can be funded from title dollars, but wouldn't start until after July 1. Then that position will come to you in the next month or two for consideration. And that will be something that opens up before July 1, but certainly wouldn't start until after July 1.
If you're in any way familiar with grants, then you know how this works, right? And if you're not, June 30th ends the cycle. And so we have to follow the guidelines for what's available to us under targeted Title I and when we can move on to school-wide Title I, which is after July 1. Okay? So we're trying to be in compliance, but also provide our schools with the necessary supports to support our children.
So when would this person be on board by the time you apply and screen?
Planning.
So the hope is that we would post for this position prior to spring break, if the board approves it. We would then look to review candidates the week we get back from spring break, and then hopefully go through a hiring process soon thereafter and have a person come on board hopefully by mid-April, late April.
So my only question, to me, is an obvious one. There's no one in the district that can do this for 2 months. We have to bring somebody on, brand new. I mean,
Yeah, so.
you know, there's a learning curve, and we all know that. Remember how long it took you to kind of get your feet on the ground, you know, the first year. I know you're superintendent, but I'm saying, my point being, what if, you know, just knowing the district and knowing the people and knowing where the buildings are and knowing all that takes time, and you're gonna build a big program in 2 months, I don't see it.
So you don't have to build a program, the program's already in place through Avid. This could be a district person, but we have a process you have to go through in order to get somebody in that role. To give somebody that duty now that's already an employee of the district is, next to impossible, because there's a lot of work that needs to be done from here to there. Most of that training will be done with Avid, so it doesn't mean that someone from the district wouldn't apply for the role itself.
Confusing to me.
So let's say, I'm just using this as an example, I'm a first grade teacher and I wanna do this. So then I apply for this and I get it for the next 3 months, thinking that in my head, this will take me up the ladder a little bit, then you're gonna have to replace somebody else, replace me as the first grade teacher. I'm just using all those numbers as an example.
Are we seeing one of our current teachers that's in place at this
Correct.
point applying for this position?
And then, because I see this as a step to build up to a better position, so if I have this, then hopefully you will hire me for the grant position, but from now, you're gonna have to now find somebody to take my place in the classroom. And that's a possibility, correct?
It is.
That is a possibility. It is a possibility, yes.
I think especially at this point, we have a lot of sensitivity towards shifting of personnel out of the classroom.
But we would have to let them out their contract then, right?
Well, technically, you would have to let someone out of their current contract because they're going to be doing something else. And so that would not be the way we want to go. Now, the other thing to realize about the coordinator position is, as part of the relationship with the Avid organization, is to have a position like this on site to work with both the Avid planning team and the building-based planning team around this. So this is a position that there's an expectation from Avid that we would have someone that this is their full-time role, is making sure that they're helping to plan up and raise up the program. So that's the other reason why we're asking the board for permission for the funding for this, because there's an expectation in the Avid process to have someone to be part of that.
So
planning.
if we would vote this down, then there is no Avid program?
I think we have to sit down with the Avid organization at that point to see how to go forward.
Just asking, I mean, does it all come to this vote, basically?
I would say this vote is fairly important right now.
I mean, there's also a likelihood that you don't even find a person
That's what I mean.
to do this in 2 months. So even if we don't vote to do it, but
April 1st would be the
The
soonest that you would have somebody in place.
That would probably be correct.
Any other questions? All right, hearing none. All in favor of the administration's recommendation of approval of an Avid planning coordinator, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
All right. Motion passed.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're not going far. You want the human resources report.
Next for your review is the annual Human Services Resource Services Department report on the data related to hires, terminations, and employee attendance. Attaches information related to staff demographics for the current school year. Attendance and termination is for data through the 16-17 school year. Also, the employee count overall, so that would include subs and part-time staff is at 1,816. Our current full-time staff is at 1,564. So going back to 2010, 2011, you'll see that we've had a drop of around 300 full-time staff from that standpoint. If you want to correlate that to where we are in terms of student population, we were at approximately 11,600 students in 2010, 2011. Our current student count, enrollment count, is at 11,199. Now, the thing to understand about enrollment count as well is that that also includes students who have been in our district and have left our district. Currently, on average, we probably have, within the last 3 years, carry around 10,500 to 10,600 students. And if you look at last year's overall enrollment, our overall enrollment was at 11,000, roughly 11,200, and that really reflects some of the mobility that we have in our district at this time. In terms of looking at the minority demographics, our teacher ratios have gone through a bit of a change, but have stayed pretty much close to their historical averages, especially when we look at teachers, in terms of teachers of color, we're approximately 25 to 27%. White teachers, approximately 74%. That's stayed pretty consistent over the years. Our support staff, more diverse than our teaching staff at this point. That's probably going to stay pretty steady. In terms of gender, the ratios, again, stay pretty consistent over time, around 30% male, 70% female, and that pretty much reflects state demographics as well as national demographics. In terms of turnover, we, over the last 3 to 4 years, have experienced a bit of an uptick in terms of the turnover rate for our district. Some of that has been due to retirements. Right now, I think we're working very hard to make sure that we are paying attention to what's going on in terms of the climate of the schools. OHI is going to be a very big lever for us to make sure that we're getting the right relationship going on between building leadership, but also department leadership as well. We want to keep all of our employees, so we don't just look at what's going on with the teachers, but in terms of all of our staff members. Again, when we talk about turnover, we also look at retention. We had a pretty big dip going back to 2015, 2016. As you know, that was the time period when we were dealing with the aftermath of Ferguson. So we did have some exit there, but we're on a good trend. We're starting to come back up. When we look at employee absence overview, we always want to pay attention to what has been going on with the various reasons why we are experiencing absences. Typically, and this reflects, again, both local and national data, employee sick days are the primary days that we have teachers out and employees out. We had an increase in employee sick days significantly for 16-17. Part of that was definitely related to an increase as we've gone through looking at our insurance rates. We've had an uptick in what would best be called emotional health concerns. When we look at the rates in terms of the potential, the prescriptions that are going out, our biggest increases in prescriptions are related to emotional health concerns. Family sick is another category that we track and also allow compensable leave for, and that is simply another opportunity for staff members if they need to take care of family members. We have a lot of parents that are on staff, so at times, they're just staying home and trying to take care of their kids. New parents taking their newborns to well baby visits. Bereavement days, they have been on a downward trend. At this time, we are not sure exactly why, but we're happy to see that. But definitely we see that going on, we think, for this year as well. We'll still have another decrease in bereavement days taken. Emergency days, significant uptick. We don't have the granular data on what every emergency meant. We're not quite sure why 16-17 was a standout year for us, but it is something where we're probably going to start surveying around that just to figure out what exactly is going on, that we've had such a significant uptick. Personal days, typically personal days are a variety, taken for a variety of reasons. We have people that take personal days for certain family concerns they want to address. We have people that take personal days because they're going to their child's parent-teacher conferences and things of that nature. We're, I would say, overall holding pretty steady in terms of those personal days being taken. Sick leave bank saw a significant drop for the 16-17 school year. We're going to see another drop again this year simply because we offered less sick leave bank days as we have been phasing that out. Unemployment costs saw over a $20,000 increase year over year from 15-16 to 16-17. We're still below some of our historic highs that took place from 2009 to 2012. One of the intentional things that have been going on in the district is really trying to bring in more student teachers. Part of this is driven by our relationship with UMSL and using the studio school model. Studio school model has been, I think, a boon for many school districts, and it allows a student teacher to be in a building typically for a year. So it would go through two types of practicums. Practicum 1 during the fall semester, sometimes during the spring semester, and then practicum 2. Practicum 2 looks a little bit more like the traditional student-teacher relationship. But the other thing that's been really good about our student teachers as well is that we make sure that they are sub-certified. So if there are any free days, we tend to utilize them as subs in the buildings where they are also student teaching. And that's the end of my presentation. I will welcome any questions.
I need a motion to approve the Human Resources Report.
So moved.
Motion's been made and seconded. Questions?
What is an emergency day? I mean, there were so many different days listed, I kind of understand most of them.
So an emergency day is a day where you have some type of exigent circumstance. Typically, we've had emergency days that have ranged from people got notice that there's been a flood in their house to there's been an emergency with a family member. Gotcha.
So you were already at work and you had to leave?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Okay. That's wonderful. That's clarifying.
Any other questions?
I just have two questions. Well, one and the same part of the question. I was just looking at the diversity in regards to race and males in some of our schools. What are some of the initiatives that you're doing to make it more in regards to the students that we have in the district?
So part of what we're trying to do now is twofold. One of the initiatives that's growing is the initiative that's coming out of the Teacher Leadership Summit with Smithsonian Center for Science Education, which is to actually have a very specific recruitment process and retention process for teachers of color. We've also been having more intentional conversations with both Harris Stowe, Lincoln University, and not this year, but next year, we will be once again going out to the East Coast, this time in the Maryland area, for a specific diversity career fair. Myself and Dr. Adrian Bland went last year to a big regional teacher of color recruitment fair in Atlanta. The biggest problem is that we couldn't get people to move back to Missouri.
And is it the same for males as well?
Males are, I would say, one of the hardest demographics to recruit for. At this point, when we look on a national level, we actually have only 6% of teachers are black males. We pretty much reflect that. The last time I went to a big career fair in Missouri last spring, it was Mizzou holds one of the largest regional ones, and there were 3 African American candidates.
I was just talking about males in general. We have a school that has no male teachers. So, yeah. I was just wondering.
So part of that has to be, I think, really having a more intentional conversation also with the interview committees and with principals around really paying attention to candidates that are coming through and looking for the opportunities to find the best candidates that are also diverse from where their current staffing is.
I guess the other thing I would say, Dr. Graves, is particularly elementary schools, you gotta look at your teacher education programs, and there's more women going through teacher ed programs than males, so that certainly contributes to that phenomenon, not just here, but all across. And then you tend to get more male applicants in science and math, which is why we have a huge initiative for girls in science, if you will. So a lot of factors come into play.
Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor of the report, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passed.
Also for your approval tonight is the district calendar, proposed calendar for the 2018-19 school year.
Thank you for reminding me. All right, go forward.
There is not a big change in terms of the start times for the 18-19 school year. The start date, typically we've had it on a Wednesday, it's going to be on a Thursday. We have kept the non-student attendance days for our ILT days, and we have lessened the amount of time for, well, we've eliminated any of the early release days, and we have far fewer half days. The last half day of the year will occur in January.
Do I have a motion to, this is the first reading, right? Second reading, so this is for approval.
Yes.
I need a motion to accept the 2018-2019 calendar.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Questions? So again, we don't have snow days built in, we have backup days, right?
Right, so we would be looking at snow days taking place throughout the year. So we have, like, if you look at the bottom, proposed snow days would be December 21st, May 24th, May 28th, May 29th, May 30th, and April 22nd.
And so, if we had a lot of snow days, and this graduation is probably on the 19th, does it affect the seniors and the number of days attending for them if the school year gets extended out?
I don't, that will not be an issue.
Okay. Well, reviewing, I mean, honestly, it looks better than this school year. This calendar this year was crazy. I understood the meaning behind you guys got a lot of professional development in there. What, another day off?
Understood.
Any other comments, questions? Hearing none, all in favor of the 2018, do you have any questions, Dr. Graves? No. All in favor of the 2018-2019 calendar, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passed.
I know, you're all looking at me saying, oh, here's long-winded Laura. Thank you. Oh, thank you. And I'm gonna make it, I abbreviated mine because I looked at the agenda, so. We're gonna talk about the preliminary budget. As you all know, from the years past, this preliminary budget is just a snapshot in time of where we're at right now. We really don't have answers about what the state funding is gonna settle at, and We don't really know about our assessments for next year at this time, and we won't know that until August or September. So this is just a snapshot of where we think we're going to be, but I can kind of give you some historical information here. So we did experience, our local assessments went up last year. The 2017 school year was a reassessment year, and we were very fortunate that our assessments went up this year instead of down. So our assessments did increase by 8.28%. Which will bring in an additional $2.4 million in the operating fund this year, or operating and debt service fund this year. So we're very excited about that point. And also, we should receive an additional $1 million surcharge funding for this year, which we've already received. So we are doing very well in that area. Now, next year is not a reassessment year. We already had a meeting with the county assessors, and so they said just to make those assessments flat, that they don't anticipate any growth in our area right now, so we'll just make those assessments flat, so our revenue should remain the same. We did see a big increase across the county of protested taxes this year, and again, our district had the third largest appeals. We fall behind Parkway and Rockwood, and the total amount of a protested tax appeals was $12.6 million. So what happens is the county holds that revenue, and then we have a friendly lawsuit, and they release the money usually in May or June, and so we will get that money in our pockets. However, as they continue to settle the cases, as the appeals go to the state for review, they sometimes settle and we have to pay that money back. So hopefully we won't have to pay back that whole $12.6 million. We are Prop C, which is sales tax, and that's statewide sales tax. All sales tax goes to the state, and then it comes back to school districts based on your weighted average daily attendance. Unfortunately for us, our weighted average daily attendance does continue to decline. So we will see a decrease of about $250,000 from the prior year in Prop C sales tax. So looking at our historical revenue, though, for local revenue, we're doing really good. We will see the increase in the local revenue, which is really great because we're going to need it, as you can see later on. Our county tax revenue is coming in pretty much on target, so it will remain flat from this year to next year, or as I'm anticipating it to remain flat. Our total state revenue will reflect a decrease. This year at least, we saw a decrease of about $1.8 million in the 2017 school year, and that is because our weighted average daily attendance does continue to decline. We are doing some things. Dr. Davis has got the program going right now with the short-term suspensions, so that might bring in some revenue. I'm actually going to DESE tomorrow. I'm going to a budget workshop this week, tomorrow and Friday. And tomorrow I'm actually going to go to DESE, and I'm going to sit down with our person at DESE that oversees our school district and talk to her about the preschool funding, because we might see some preschool funding next year, and I just want to talk to her about how we can maximize that funding. So, or what are some things that we can do, or some strategies. And I also want to talk to her about some other things too. So hopefully I'll have some more answers about the preschool funding. And so in the preliminary budget, I left the revenue flat, even though we do have a decrease in weighted average daily attendance, because I wasn't sure what was going to happen it's just a stab in the dark, so I just kept it flat right now. And so like I said, I kept that flat. We are going to see some decrease in funding for transportation. Again, we don't get that much transportation funding, and that's another thing that Jim is going to have me talk to our DESE representative about is if we do something with some lease purchasing for buses, maybe we can get some additional buses, and that might give us some additional funding. And early childhood special ed and parents as teacher revenue, it usually just stays about the same every year. So our historical state revenue, we have seen some definite declines over the last several years, basically based on our weighted average daily attendance. However, I am hoping, like I said, with the preschool ADA, that we should bring in more. Federal revenue is just based on free and reduced lunches and Title I and Title II and Title III. What we receive, we spend, and so it's just kind of I just kept it as flat in the preliminary budget. Our expenditures, actually, we are doing very well with our expenditures right now. We're right on target with budget versus actual, and so we're just going to continue. We're actually a little bit below our budget right now, so that's a good thing. And in the preliminary budget, I just kept this is of course before negotiations, and so I kept the salaries and staffing as a status quo. We always continue to look at our staffing. and look at our enrollment and consider each person as they retire, if we're going to fill that or eliminate that position. Also, our insurance is actually doing a very good job. Right now, we haven't had a lot of horrible illnesses in the last couple of years, and so our insurance costs have actually not been as high as they have in previous years. So one of the things that we did say is we are going to hold those insurance premiums at the same level for next year, which will help save the district dollars. And also, if you're an employee, you are provided insurance, but you have to buy insurance for any dependents. So that will help our employees as well. They will not have an increase in their dependent premiums, and we're not going to do anything with the structure, so there won't be any higher increase, out-of-pocket costs for our employees for next year. We are doing a lot of really great things with our balances. We really ramped up our wellness initiatives. We were able to hire some wellness coaches, and we just put out a pretty cool video yesterday. I'm pretty proud of. We are hiring Kelly Bristow, our old nutritionist. She's helping us because she's a dietitian and she's working part-time. So she's helping us with our wellness initiatives, and so she and our chefs, Chef Susan and Chef Tori, had a little video where they prepared a dish, and they're going to serve that on March 15th. And so it was one of those tasty videos, and it was a healthy dish. So we're really going to try to do some cool things. We also are working and scheduling some wellness visits into each school so that they can come and do testing for diabetes and things like that. We really want to make sure that our employees are healthy so that we can keep our health insurance costs down. So in a summary, we started the year with about $22.6 million. I think we are going to see, or for next year, I anticipate that we'll see $128.5 million with our expenditures at this time without salary increases, of course, at $127.4 million with an ending balance of $23.7 million. So right at that point, it will be 18.59%, but it will go down because we did get those increases. So as you can see, we've done a pretty good job of building up our balances, and we're just trying to keep those fund balances so that one of my strategic plans that we work with Dr. Davis is to make sure that our fund balances are increasing, and we're really working towards that. Dr. Davis does a great job at looking at all of our expenditures and making sure that we totally review them and make sure that they're being effective in the schools. We look at the data, is this program working, things like that before we talk about purchases. So this is not for approval, this is just kind of a snapshot of where we're at. Does anybody have any questions?
Any questions from the board? All right.
Yeah, our gas bill and freezing.
Yes. Oh, you know what? Matt is in the room. Matthew, did you hear that? Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you. I apologize, Mike. I logged out, so. I think the final piece, right? Is that where we're at? Negotiations, all right.
Thank you.
First, I'd like to acknowledge, actually, it was already done earlier tonight. Those that work very closely with this, as Ms. Hogshead pointed out, Lori and Jean Stevens, and Philip and myself and Laura. Negotiations were a little bit different. It was a lot different this year because of the charge that we had after negotiations last year. There was an agreement for us to go ahead and begin working on a collective bargaining agreement, and that is the product that we're going to ask you to approve tonight. So the board president and the FF&EA president would be able to sign that to get this in place for the beginning of the 2018-2019 school year. Laura, do you have any comments or that you would like to make at this point?
Yay!
It really is true. Anything you want to say?
I'm unprepared, sorry.
Yep. Well, there are a variety of different pieces to the negotiations packet that you've had a chance to review. There are some agreements. There's standards-based grading. There's the extra pay salary schedules. There's a policy book reorganization, and that has been an interest for many on the board for some time. We have that we've agreed to, so we go ahead and take a stab at it and try and get that taken care of before August 1st, I believe. This process has been significant in that we've been able to get some ideas from other people or other districts that have been successful. We've taken a lot of our current policies and incorporated them into the collective bargaining agreement. So, somebody might think, I guess if they wanted to, it took a whole year to go ahead and get here when we just took a lot of the policies. But there was a lot of significant conversations that have gotten us here. And I think that even though this agreement is for a 1 year, following agreements will be more than one. There'll be 2-year agreements. We did it 1 year for the first year. Just we're hedging our bets that we're going to goof up someplace along the way, and we can go ahead and fix it. But in the spirit of what has occurred in our past negotiations as well as this process, I think we're very confident in our ability to make amends where they come up. In our agreement to do this last year, and when you think about some of the objectives in collective bargaining, I think I shared some of this with you previously, but it's the maintaining the relationship between management and employees, the ability to be able to settle disputes when it comes down to working conditions, and protecting the interest of employees through collective action. We're confident that this document will meet those goals for employees as well as the benefits that will flow back to the district to be able to coordinate or manage some of the things that are necessary for administration to be able to do.
Well, and honestly, too, the ability to try and keep that local control of this process as some others outside of us attempt to potentially take some of that control.
It's an excellent point. So, as I said before, this collective bargaining agreement is for 1 year. It's designed to run from July 1st through June 30th, 2019, so 2018 to 2019.
There's a slightly separate process
for policy.
For negotiating potential agreements. Those would have to be, both sides would have to give that information to the superintendent in a 2-week period in December so that we're able to judge where we're heading with that. In addition to that, we would also allow a policy window as well, but we have limited policies to 5 each.
Yeah, which you all have been asking us to do for a long time, and I'll see that very well. Yeah, because we know how cumbersome it can be and how much of a challenge. It'll make us be very strategic in what we're selecting. And again, we'll still be able to go ahead and do compliance matters, things that DESE requires, or things that are necessary through statute. So those opportunities still exist. We'll just have to be careful about how we go about doing them. Anything else you think of? So, So
salaries will be negotiated every year.
Yeah, salaries will still be negotiated every year. So we've got a long way to go yet. I mean, but this is a significant document. You hear people talk about being proud of different things, and while we were preparing the documents for signatures, we had to kind of stop for a second because we acknowledged how important this is to the district, and certainly for administration and as well as the employees. So we ask you to embrace it. If you have questions, we'd certainly like to try and answer them. But we kind of thought this was a little historic too.
I need a motion to approve the negotiations packet.
Motion to approve.
I was on the committee, I'm doing it.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. All right, questions?
I would just like to again applaud you guys. You did a marvelous job, and I know it's been a whole year, not just the few weeks, and you work really hard. And I know that Lori and Jean work hard all year trying to keep everything together, and Jean and those little numbers. But you guys do a great job, and I so appreciate it, as we all do.
Yes, and thank you, board, for your help.
Possible multiple years and what was it, 5 motions of fees? Gosh, man, this is good stuff. You're getting me tingling over here. Anything else I need to know without diving deep?
Remember, we've had some
Any
that
real
have been 25 and 30.
Oh my
cases
gosh.
being brought forward.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And again, you know, I always say how we view the world, how we see it, how others see it, and how it really is. So my first couple times on negotiations, I was stunned by all that, emotions and things like that. And I'm not saying they didn't need to be, but I'm really glad to see that there's a possibly different approach going forward, you know.
Well, and this is of benefit to us, of course, as well, in the fact
Sure.
that what are at least 5 bills currently that want to
There's a few.
limit the ability of this process to
Oh,
go
no.
forward.
Okay.
And us potentially having this agreement strengthens our ability to potentially keep our process.
Exactly.
Almost all other districts in St. Louis, and county and the area have collective bargaining agreements. You know, we've just kind of.
We've been lucky that we've been so
Right.
Yes.
able to come to consensus that we've kind of been able to skate along a little bit, but this allows too that some of us are getting a little long in the tooth, so.
Yeah, I would just add one thing, and that is, we talked about this some already, alluded to it rather, House Bill 2247, charter school bills. There's actually 2 bills that are out there. House Bill 618, which is the $25 million voucher bill, if you will. I mean, there's so many there's so many interests out there that are vying for public school dollars. And, you know, I think it would have been short-sighted not to think about what has been taking place here, right? Because there are folks who are waiting to chomp on the bit. And our community is trying to rebuild and go to a place where we provide the kind of quality of education that every child needs. And this will strengthen it for the association, but for our community as well. And the fact that, you know, the association was willing and the administration willing to come together and work as a team, because there are going to be some other challenges, folks. But I think together when it's reunited, together we're stronger, and we can do some of those things that we know are strategic when it comes to those bills, and be strategic before they hit us, right? So I'm proud of the work that has been done. So.
Well, speaking of that as well, one of the pieces that we were very careful and strategic to shore up was in the thought of potential restructuring and making sure that those processes are very clear, because there was some ambiguity in how that might look.
Any other questions? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Motion passed.
Thank you so much.
Folks, we have a CEA.
I even have a pen in my pocket.
So the presidential sign.
The pens will be for sale on eBay later.
Just like a.
I swear our clock was a long time ago.
adjourn as
Second.
everybody gets up.
Yeah, I know.
Very well known, it's not the only. So even
There you have it.
All right, motion made to adjourn, seconded. Any new business? Nothing? Meeting adjourned.